Good morning. May I now call to order the meeting of the security panel. We've got a quorum already. Today is the 8th day in the Lunar New Year. So may I wish you all a very happy year of the horse. Agenda item number 1, confirmation of minutes. The minutes were issued to members on the 4th of February. I believe members have read the minutes. And can I ask members whether they've got any amendment to propose? No, then the minutes are confirmed. Thank you. Agenda item number 2, information papers issued since the last meeting. A total of 3 papers have been issued. Paper CB2627 bracket 01, on the IPCC, and then paper CB2745 bracket 01, referral from the Public Complaints Office on the rezoning of a site at the central waterfront from open space to military use, and then paper 805 on how the police handle cases of alleged physical abuse of foreign domestic helpers. Yes, it's Claudia Mo. I just want to register my interest to speak on the next agenda item. All right, item 3 on the agenda, Dr. Kenneth Chen. Now, one of the information papers issued since the last meeting is a referral from the Public Complaints Office on the rezoning of a site at the central waterfront from open space to military use. In fact, a case conference was held on the 5th of February. And I understand that we've got an item on the list of outstanding items concerning use of military sites and implementation of the garrison law in Hong Kong. And I hope that we can arrange for a discussion of that matter in the near future. Right, item 3, date of next meeting and items for discussion. So please invite the administration in. So we've got paper CB2775 bracket 02, list of outstanding items for discussion. And meanwhile, we've received proposed discussion items from the administration for the meeting in March. So these are the items proposed by the Security Bureau. Use of body-worn video camera by police. And then also another initiative, or the household policing plan. And then we've got some items that will go to FC. Replacement of 18 police launchers involving a sum of about $650 million. And then construction of departmental quarters for customs officer grade officers at Yao Yuan Village Road. And the amount involved is about $480 million. And then the ICAC proposes to replace the radio communications system of each group of the operations department. And so we're going to have 3 FC items and 2 discussion items for the meeting in March. Right, members, any suggestions on the items to be discussed next time? No? Then let's move on to agenda item number 4. Immigration arrangements for entry of mainland residents for family reunion. We've got paper CB 2775-1314/03. We have with us Mr. Lai Tong Kwok, Secretary for Security, Ms. Amy Wong, PAS for Security, and Mr. Lo Chun Nam, Assistant Director of Immigration. Yes, Secretary for Security, please. Yes, Chairman and members, I will now briefly introduce to you the immigration arrangements for entry of mainland residents for family reunion. Now, the OWP system seeks to ensure that mainland residents can come to Hong Kong for family reunion in an orderly manner. In fact, the arrangements are extremely clear. Now, Annex 1 of the Joint Declaration states that there are approval procedures or there were existing approval procedures for mainlanders who wish to enter Hong Kong. And the then existing system was the one-way permit system. According to Basic Law, Article 22(4), mainland residents who wish to enter Hong Kong must get approval. And in 1999, the MPCSC gave an interpretation of Article 22(4), and MPCSC said that mainland residents who wish to enter Hong Kong for whatever reason must apply to the relevant authorities of their residential districts for approval in accordance with the relevant national laws and administrative regulations, and must hold valid documents issued by relevant authorities. And for mainland residents who wish to settle in Hong Kong, they have to apply for one-way permits. And the State Council has endorsed the method for dealing with mainland residents who wish to settle in Macau and in Hong Kong. And there are also working codes to vet such applications. And since May 1997, a point-based system has been implemented by the mainland authorities, and the open and transparent approval criteria are set out. Mainland authorities assess the eligibility and priority of applicants with reference to such criteria, and they also update annually the eligibility points required for the approval of the one-way permit application. And the same arrangements apply to mainlanders who wish to settle in Macau. So mainlanders need to apply to the relevant authorities in the mainland. And the eligibility points for Macau bound and Hong Kong bound mainlanders are the same. So the policy is open and transparent and clear. In 1982, the quota was 75 for the one-way permit system. It was increased to 105 in 1993 and 150 in 1995. And as a result, mainland spouses and children are able to come to Hong Kong to settle in an orderly manner. And in fact, the existing system has been refined and optimized. Now, we've received from time to time referrals from NGOs and ward officers of LegCo members. And in fact, in the last term of the LegCo, a subcommittee was set up to follow up on the one-way permit system. Any change to the quota will affect those queuing up for one-way permits. And so an established system which has proven to be effective should not be changed or altered hastily. And we shouldn't deprive Hong Kong people and mainlanders of the right of family reunion.
The SARG has always been working very closely with the mainland authorities on a case-by-case basis. For example, when there is a need, the Hong Kong government will try to verify whether the documents submitted by the applicants are true, and will try to verify the relationship between the applicants and their relatives in Hong Kong, etc. And also a working group was set up in 2006, and it targeted cases in which marriage effect, and we are trying to crack those cases in which illicit applicants try to come into Hong Kong through phony marriages. From 2007 to December 2013, we have handled over 5,000 cases in this area. We've successfully prosecuted 1,537 persons, and the terms of imprisonment ranged from 4 months to 48 months. So the Immigration Department will look at different cases, and if there are difficult cases but the applicants are not eligible for one-way permits or two-way permits, we will reflect the cases to the mainland authorities. Now, these cases involve people who have minor children in Hong Kong, but their spouses in Hong Kong have passed away, or single mothers who faced the particular difficulties in the mainland. So the mainland authorities have been working with us, and they will exercise their discretion and issue one-way or two-way permits on a case-by-case basis. And also we will look at the applicant's situation, and we will reflect these cases to the mainland, and there were over 190 cases like this, and 110 of them were about single parents on the mainland. And now over 50 of these applicants have received one-way permits, and 40 of these applicants were issued one-year multiple exit endorsement for visiting relatives in Hong Kong. These cases include deceased spouses as well as divorced and missing spouses. The SAR government will, having regard to the overall interests of Hong Kong, continue to exchange views with the mainland authorities and reflect to them the aspirations of the society. Chairman, this ends my speech, and I and my colleague are pleased to answer members' questions. Thank you. Now, there are a number of members who would like to ask questions. Claudia Mo, Gary Fan, Yik Chi Ming, Lang Chi Chang, Chan Kam Lam, Yu Si Wing, Ma Fong Kwok, Kwok Wai Kang, as well as James Toh, and Kenneth Chang, and Wong Kwok Kin. So 5 minutes each. I hope that you can leave some time for the government officials to answer your questions within that 5 minutes. If you ask too lengthy questions, then you will have to wait for the second round. First of all, Ms. Claudia Mo. Thank you, Chairman. Yes, I understand that the Security Bureau is taking care of immigration arrangements, and now you have a task force looking at phony marriages. You said that from 2007 to 2013 there were 5,544 cases, but you have convicted only 1,500 of them. So the rate is really low, and you only investigate when there is a need. But how about forged documents and bribery? you are relying on the intelligence from the mainland, I think that would be very rare. So for those people who have arrived in Hong Kong, well, they are claiming that they have relatives in Hong Kong. So do these relatives in Hong Kong exist, and how about their addresses? What's the real relationship? So as long as they have a permit, they can come. And for family reunion, yes, motherly love is indisputable. It is a universal value. I have heard a lot of sad stories about this. However, if somebody forged documents or somebody bribed government officials so that they can come to Hong Kong, then you're actually hurting those people who really want to come to Hong Kong for family reunion. Well, with the spirit of one country, two systems, other than diplomacy and national defense, how come we do not have this power of allowing people to come to Hong Kong? Now, I have written to the government, but after a month I was told that this official was too busy and he cannot talk to me. I'm not blaming you. No, you are just working in accordance with the laws. However, this is totally unfair to Hong Kong, and Hong Kong cannot accommodate so many people anymore. So will you take the initiative other than just looking into phony marriages? Will you be also looking at forged documents and bribery? I think there are people who are paying mainland government officials in order to get their permits. So I don't think you should work on a need basis. You should take the initiative to carry out more investigations. Thank you, Ms. Mo. Ms. Mo, you're right. I think we all have to face this squarely. That family reunion is very important. And OWP has been playing its role to facilitate family reunion. I just now talked about forged or phony marriages. Now, anyone who provides to the authority fake information or documents in order to get an OWP or an endorsement or a visa, that's illegal. So for our immigration officers, now if they receive information concerning a certain person that's coming to Hong Kong, and if they suspect that he is using forged documents, etc., they will definitely carry out investigation. And if they have gathered enough evidence, they would sue that person. And that person will be expatriated. Now, we have officers from the immigration, so we can also ask them to give you a reply. And Ms. Mo also talked about bribery. And you are questioning whether these OWPs are issued properly. Now, I can give you some information. Now, with regard to the mainland authorities, when it comes to vetting applications for OWP, they have the codes. Now, one of the code is the applicants and their relatives in Hong Kong have to go to the office in person, and they have to provide the true copy of the relevant documents for vetting. So this is like any application in Hong Kong. Well, we have to interview the applicant in person. And if there are problems, we have an agreement, and they will refer the problematic case to us, and we will carry out detailed investigation. In the past, we have seen many cases like this. Ms. Gary Fan. Just now, Mr. Lai says that the approval criteria or the vetting procedures of the one-way permit application is open and transparent. But we have received a letter from single mothers on the mainland, and they are claiming that this mechanism is far from transparent. So that's why they have been waiting for many years, and they don't know what the status of their application is like. So this is totally in the opposite direction of our policy, that is facilitating family reunion. So will you talk to the Beijing government? Will you revise this OWP system so that the authority will to approve this permits will be given to us? And also for paragraph 13 of your paper, you say that now for mainland mothers having minor children in Hong Kong, if you increase a category like that, then there will be some concerns in our society. Now, this actually reflects the importance of the OWP scheme, and the power of giving approval should be given to Hong Kong, because by doing so, we can help those single mothers who have real needs, and those applicants who are using forged documents or bribery will be found out. So in the past years, have you tried to talk to the Beijing government? Now, for those people who have the WPs and they have already settled in Hong Kong, can the mainland government maintain their household registration for a period of time, so that if they cannot get accustomed to the life in Hong Kong, they can go back to their original homes? Now, for what Mr. Fang says, now you are talking about the China-Hong Kong single mother concern groups concern. The OWP's eligibility criteria are very clear. They also, and all of this criteria, the reunion of spouses is one of them. So if the spouse in Hong Kong has already passed away, these are dealt with as special cases. And as I said just now, we have received from time to time referrals from members' office and NGOs. And these cases will be reflected to the mainland authorities so that they can give special considerations to them. And 110 of these cases were about single mothers. And the mainland authorities have issued OWPs to some of them. And for the others, the mainland authorities have also issued the one-way multiple exit endorsements to them. So we have been communicating with the mainland authorities. We have been following up, and we will continue with this work. So I would like to make 2 points very clearly. That's what I stated just now. As for family reunion, well, the mainland authorities have a point-based system. And before they issue the OWP, they would display the information of the applicants at their offices. And if they do not receive complaints, and if there's no queries concerning this information, then they will process the applications. The mainland's practice is different from ours, but this example shows you that the mainland authorities would take the initiative to post those information, and they will be under people's monitoring. As for Mr. Fen's comments, I will reflect them to our mainland counterparts. When did you do it? We have been doing it for quite some time. Mr. Yik Chi-ming? Well, according to the data, well, there are tens of thousands of mainland people coming to reside in Hong Kong each year. Lately, we have heard a lot of voices. For example, the shortage of school places in the primary schools in the North District. So each year we will see tens of thousands of mainlanders moving to Hong Kong. So how about Hong Kong's population policy, employment, welfare, transport? Have you looked at the impacts on these areas? And for the SARG, do you know the profile of these tens of thousands of mainlanders who come to Hong Kong every year? What's their ages and their education background, etc.? Do you have this kind of data?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Now concerning those on one-way permits, how many come to Hong Kong, their age profile, whether they are spouses or children, their educational background. We have been collecting such information and monitoring such information. All the information and data are passed on to our colleagues to help them assess and study Hong Kong's demands with regard to school places and so on and so forth. At the Lo Wu border control point, there is a data collection counter. Now let me digress a bit. Now for those on one-way permits, they can only come into Hong Kong through the Lo Wu border crossing point. For those on one-way permits who are coming to Hong Kong for the first time, they can't enter Hong Kong through the airport. All of them have to enter through the Lo Wu border crossing point. So we collect information and data at Lo Wu, and we require these entrants to fill in questionnaires. The CNS department has designed a questionnaire for us so that we can collect the information that the Hong Kong government needs to do its planning. And of course, the content of the questionnaire is updated from time to time. And then in the registration of persons office, we also carry out surveys among the new arrivals, over 11, because they need to obtain Hong Kong ID cards. And we have this service at the Hong Kong, or rather at the Kowloon Registration of Persons Office. So these people come and settle in Hong Kong. Then they go to obtain their ID cards, and then we collect the information from them. So we got information like age, marital status, economic activities, educational attainments, and so on and so forth. And such information is passed on to relevant government departments and interested NGOs. This is because we rely heavily on the services provided by NGOs to assist new arrivals. And we also publish statistical information on our website. And such data and information can help the Hong Kong government provide the services and facilities that new arrivals need. Now, for example, in 2012, for new arrivals over the age of 15, over 46% have received secondary education or above. 86%, it should be 86%. And out of the 86%, 14% have received tertiary education or above. Sorry to interrupt. Now, I believe such figures are available on the on your website. I wish to ask a follow-up question. I want to know when you started collecting such data and information. Now, if you had started early and if the mechanism had been effective, parents would not have been so worried about the shortage of school places. I believe there is a bit of mismatch we are here talking about those coming on one-way permits, but then I believe you are talking about type 2 children or babies, and I think we can discuss that matter on another occasion. Mr. Leung Chi Cheung, I've got 2 questions. I've dealt with many cases relating to holders of one-way permits. Now, in Guangdong province, the point-based system is highly transparent. People can check their status via the internet, but then this arrangement is not practiced in some other provinces. So I hope that the SAR government can urge the other provinces to follow the example of the Guangdong province, so that applicants can check their status and know when they will be able to come to settle in Hong Kong. And of course, the SAR government must remind the mainland authorities to pay attention to fraud cases. Now, so in 1982, the daily quota was 75, increased to 105 in 1993, and further to 150 in 1995. And at the moment, it's still 150. And I understand that in 2011, or starting from 2011, you've given some of the quota to overage children because you felt that the 150 could not be used up. I want to know whether at the moment you can use up the 150 every day. If you can't use up the daily quota of 150, how come you can't reduce the daily quota to say 130? And then concerning overage children and also single mothers, mainland single mothers, is it better to set aside a special quota for mainland single mothers? Because at the moment, there is this daily quota of 150, and some are worried that, in fact, we have really too many mainlanders coming to Hong Kong. So what arrangements will you be putting in place to allay public concerns? Secretary. Yes, thank you. Chairman, I thank Mr. Leung and other members for having given so much assistance to new arrivals. Now, for the applicants in Guangdong province, they can check their status on the internet. They are given application numbers, and they can check their status, the status of their applications online. Now, in fact, many new policies are tried and implemented in Guangdong first, including immigration policies, and also Guangdong has more resources. Now, the mainland proposes to issue two-way permits with chips, and this is now done in Guangdong. This is because Guangdong has more resources. And also, the largest number of one-way permit holders come from Guangdong, and Fujian comes second on the list. Now, different provinces work out their arrangements, taking into account the financial resources they have. So not all provinces can allow applicants to check their status online. But then the public security authorities require the various officers to put up notices at their offices on the queuing situation. But then in some provinces, of course, applicants can check their status online. But then I want to say that at the moment, the eligibility points stand at 4 years. So within the 4-year period, these people can apply for the multiple exit endorsement to come to visit relatives in Hong Kong, and they will not. It will not be their turn till 4 years later. Mr. Chen Kam Lam and then Mr. Yu Siwing. Chairman. The daily quota for family reunion has not been used up in recent years, as Mr. Leung Chi Chang has pointed out. And I understand that since the reunification, many people have come for family reunion under the one-way permits. And 49% of those on one-way permit were reunited with their spouses and their parents. In fact, the system is transparent, and I think the arrangements are acceptable to both Hong Kong and the mainland. Maybe there are isolated cases involving corruption, but I don't think we should, just because of these isolated cases, brand the one-way permit system as a system that is totally unacceptable. And I am sure both Hong Kong and the mainland will rigorously deal with corruption cases. Now, my question has to do with overage children. Now, is it that now and there are overage children who are in the mainland. They have they work in the mainland. They have their families in the mainland, and they may not want to come to settle in Hong Kong, but they may want to come to Hong Kong to visit their parents from time to time. So can there be certain arrangements worked out for them? No, we do have visas for multiple journeys. And we may have overage children in Guangdong, in Fujian, or in other provinces. Can the SAR government liaise with the mainland authorities to issue multiple journey endorsements to these overage children so that they can visit their parents in Hong Kong more often? Yes, I thank Mr. Chen for his suggestion, Chairman. Overage children can now come to visit their parents, but then they may not be eligible for the 1-year multiple exit endorsement for visiting relatives, because that endorsement is primarily for separated spouses. But then I will look at this suggestion to see whether this suggestion can be taken forward. And then I would like to respond to the quota of 150. In 1997, or in 1995, we knew that spouses had to wait for a long time for reunion, and there were many people waiting to come to Hong Kong, and so the daily quota was increased to 150. It's true that in recent years, on some occasions, the quota has not been used up, and that was why we had discussions with the mainland authorities, and we would allow overage children to come. We're now in the 4th batch. In other words, those separated at 1984, and I don't really know how many people come under this category. So we will deal with the issue of overage children, and then we can seriously consider whether the daily quota of 150 should be adjusted and the room for such an adjustment. And I do agree that we should be taking the matter forward in this direction. Concerning corruption cases, both the Hong Kong SAR government and the mainland authorities take these cases very seriously. I think members know how in Hong Kong we deal with such corruption cases, and I will not go into details here.
Mr. Yu Si-wing, although the mainland authorities have the power to approve OWB, but this also involves the interests of Hong Kong people, so I think the Hong Kong government should also help. Now, the paper has mentioned that under 5 circumstances, the mainland authorities would be issuing the OWBs. But we have also seen some cases that do not fall under these 4 points. I have come into contact with a woman like that. She's given birth to a minor child in Hong Kong, and the father then passed away, but they have no marriage certificate. But on the birth certificate, the parents' names are there, so it has proven that the mother has been living in Hong Kong for a number of years. So someone asked them to move back to the mainland to live because they do not have their official status in Hong Kong. But this is, of course, not good for the child. So does the government have a standing mechanism to assist this kind of families? Can you provide professional counseling services? Because when these new arrivals come to Hong Kong, they really don't know where to seek help. Of course, there are NGOs, but is there a government body providing that kind of services to them? For example, assistance or counseling. These are very sad cases. I hope the government can really look at these problems squarely. Yes, we have seen cases like this, as I said just now. Well, members, officers, or NGOs will refer these cases to us. I'm not going to mention the names of these NGOs, but as you all know, there are NGOs serving new arrival families, and we have been liaising with them. So when a case is referred to us, first of all, we'll interview the person concerned, try to find out his or her condition, and then we will write a report. The report will be sent to the mainland authorities. We will ask them to exercise their discretion and see if help can be given to this person. Now, of course, we will not mention names here. However, for the case you mentioned just now, well, we know that the mother has been taking care of the child, or maybe the mother is holding a 1-year multiple exit endorsement for visiting relatives. So for the mainland authorities, they can look at the situation and issue a 1-year multiple exit endorsement for visiting relatives. And for some other cases, they may even issue OWPs. Now, we have handled 110 cases like this up to last year, and 50 of the applicants have obtained an OWP, and they are now in Hong Kong, and 40 of them were given 1-year multiple exit endorsements. So we have been updated these figures every year. The mainland authorities have been working closely with us, and the number of OWPs issued in this manner has been increasing. Now, because we have already forged a tacit consensus. But of course, it doesn't mean that whenever we write them a letter, this will be done. They still have their procedures. But after implementing this system for some time, precedences have been set, and we can see that the number of approved applications in this area has increased. So we will continue to monitor the situation. Well, if the new arrivals have other welfare needs, government departments in Hong Kong are also willing to help. But do you have a designated department handling this kind of issue? Do you have a designated unit or department doing this? We do not have such a designated unit. So for immigration, the immigration department will look at that, as well welfare, education, employment, social welfare, etc. The Home Affairs Bureau will also be helping. Mr. Kwok Wai Kang and then James Toh. Thank you, Chairman. When I look at the figures, well, 99% of the new arrivals coming to Hong Kong on OWPs are to reunite with their spouses or parents. Some people are now saying that the Hong Kong government should get the power of approval. I think lawfully this is infeasible. And if you do this, the number of applications will only increase, not decrease. I hope you will pay attention to this. The government told us that for single mothers, they would not set up a special category for them. And for paragraph 11, you say that over half of these cases are from single mothers, and 90 of these mothers have been granted OWPs or 1 year multiple exit endorsement. So what kind of criteria are used for granting 1 year multiple exit endorsements and OWPs? And for some new arrivals, they cannot get accustomed to the Hong Kong lifestyle, and they want to return to their homeland, but they are rejected by the mainland authorities. So have you talked about these arrangements with the mainland authorities? There are two questions, and maybe our immigration staff can also answer the other parts of the questions. We will refer the cases to the mainland authorities, and they will look at the case, and then they will decide whether an OWP or a 1 year multiple exit endorsement would be issued. So they will do it on a case-by-case basis. As well as your second question, sorry, I can't remember which member asked this question. Now, have we liaised with the mainland authorities? That is, for some new arrivals, if they cannot get accustomed to the lifestyle of Hong Kong, can they return to their homeland? I think Mr. Gary Fang asked the question. Yes, we have talked to the mainland authorities about this. Now we are still exchanging views. When there is a result, we will announce it. Well, if this is to be done, it will be a major policy change. But at the moment, we are still exchanging views. And for those who have arrived in Hong Kong from the mainland, because they have already cancelled their household registration in the mainland, they can obtain a home visit permit from Hong Kong, and like other Hong Kong residents, they can visit the mainland. Yes, their household registrations are cancelled in the mainland, so they cannot enjoy the benefits of household registration holders on the mainland. For example, the children cannot get education, and if they work, they cannot get the relevant welfares, etc. This is a fact. Well, some people may want to return to their homeland, but now we don't have the arrangement yet. This is a fact. So that's why we have been exchanging views with our mainland our mainland counterparts on this. As the Secretary said just now, for one-way permits and two-way permits, they are approved and issued by the mainland authorities, and this is their remit. As for the Hong Kong government, including the Immigration Department, we are just trying to help on a case-by-case basis. Whenever we receive a case, we will relay the case to the mainland authorities in writing. We are doing this regularly, and we have also been following up regularly. The mainland authorities have been responding to all these cases proactively. So after looking at the cases, they may issue an OWP or a one-year multiple exit endorsement. Yes, Mr. James Toh. Chairman, I would like to ask some fundamental questions about the government's policy. For Hong Kong permanent residents, as I suppose they are the parents, and then they have adult children living in the mainland. So for the Hong Kong SARG policy or the mainland policy, these children can move to Hong Kong in batches. So that can be done definitely. I don't think there's any other policy like this in other countries. They need to have special grounds or reasons. Now, if this premise is true, that means when this adult child can come to Hong Kong, and after 7 years he's a permanent resident, and he can also apply for his children to come to Hong Kong, and maybe his children are also adult children. So this family reunion problem can never be resolved. So I think adult children should be put under a special category. It's not that all of them should be granted an OWP. Well, I'll take Mr. Toh's question. We are talking about children of mainland, children of Hong Kong residents, and if you talk about overage children, they have to meet certain criteria. Now, there is a historical background to it. Now, in the past, for example, there's a Hong Kong person, he married a wife in the mainland, and they had children, and the wife and the children would apply to come to Hong Kong. I'm talking about many years ago. And there was the age limit then. It was 14 years old. So if a child's over the age of 14, he would not be eligible. And after they've waited for some years, then maybe the child's over 14. So that's a problem. And this is a historical problem. So we have been discussing with the mainland authorities for a number of years. And we agree that for eligible overage children on the mainland, if their father or mother have already got a Hong Kong ID card by 2001, the 1st of October, and that child was under the age of 14, and the 1st of April 2011, the parent is still living in Hong Kong,
then under this policy, an application can be made to come to settle on one-way permits. So it is not that all children in the mainland born of Hong Kong people will fulfill the criteria under the overage children policy. It was just that there was a gap in history. Now, let's cut a long story short. So this is to resolve a problem or historical problem. So in other words, the SAR government or the mainland authorities do not have a policy whereby overage children born of Hong Kong people can come to Hong Kong for family reunion. In most cases, yes. But then there are some overage children who come to take care of unsupported parents or unaccompanied parents in Hong Kong. But the number is small. So can the SAR government give me this projection? Now, so after this historical problem has been resolved, the 14-year-olds, so can you give us a projection concerning the number of arrivals? For the time being, we can't come up with a projection. Neither can the mainland authorities. We can't come up with accurate figures. But then we should be talking about tens of thousands of people. Now, we're now in the fourth batch. The first batch was before 1979. Now we're not working on 1984. The progress has been satisfactory. So maybe 2 or 3 years later, we'll be able to see estimate when we'll be able to resolve the problem. Mr. Kenneth Chan and then Mr. Wong Kwok Kin. Secretary, I believe you know the members of the concerned group, and they've asked me to present you with this bowl of dumplings symbolizing reunion. They hope that they can be reunited with their families as soon as possible. So concerning mainland single mothers, is it that you still want to deal with such cases on a case-by-case basis? Or should there be a separate policy for them? In fact, our complaints division has dealt with many such cases. And I want to say that concerning the one-way permit system, the public have a lot of doubts, reservations, queries. Oh, as the Secretary has pointed out, when they come to settle in Hong Kong, there will first be a survey at the Lo Wu border crossing point, and then when these new arrivals go to get their ID cards, again there will be another survey. And we hope that the publication of the data and information should be more systematic to facilitate rational discussion in society. The Secretary said that data and information had to be gathered so that we could give new arrivals the assistance they needed. But I think so it seems that this is the focus of society. People are of the view that they are a heavy burden to society. We won't be able to cope. But then at the same time, we should look at new arrivals from another perspective, and that is they are a valuable source of manpower resources. So I hope that the Immigration Department and the CNS Department can also look at the other perspective. we shouldn't keep on saying that they are coming. We should see how we can help them. We have to see how we can cope with the influx of new arrivals. I think we should look at the other perspective as well. And then the Secretary said that corruption cases would be dealt with rigorously. Now, in fact, we understand that even for those who've satisfied all the criteria, if they offer some bribes to officials, they may be able to come earlier. So there are people who can jump the queue. So, what role can the SAR government play to make sure that there will be zero corruption with regard to queuing up for one-way permits to come to settle in Hong Kong? Secretary, yes, Dr. Chen is correct. We always talk about how we can offer assistance to new arrivals. In fact, this term of government emphasizes to need to help those who need assistance. And I think it's just legitimate and necessary to provide assistance to new arrivals. But I want to also emphasize that new arrivals do make a lot of contributions to the Hong Kong community. Now, as we all know, Hong Kong is an aging community. And new arrivals, especially the young people, can help supplement our youth population. And so we should try to provide these young new arrivals with training and counseling so that they can join our workforce. And I want to say that, in fact, such data are uploaded onto the HAD's website on a regular basis. And of course, within government, we study these figures in detail, and I understand that the committee to study Hong Kong's population policy does study these figures very carefully. And I want to say that as there is a point-based system, people know very well when they will have their applications approved. Let's say, for example, if you get 100 marks, then you'll get your turn within 1 year. And also the list is made public. And people can report irregularities through many channels in the mainland. And if you detect someone who doesn't have enough marks, then you can always make a complaint. Mr. Alan Leung. Yes, thank you, Chairman. Right at the outset, the Secretary in the paper mentioned Article 22 of the Basic Law. It says that for those who enter the Hong Kong SAR to settle, the mainland authorities make a decision after having consulted the Hong Kong SAR. So the mainland authorities decide how many people should be allowed to leave the mainland for Hong Kong. All right. So the mainland authorities decide how many can leave the mainland. So why is it that under Article 22 of the Basic Law we need to take in all of them? Is it that we do not need to take in all of them? Is it that there is room for maneuver on the part of the Hong Kong SAR government? Is it that the Hong Kong SAR government can decide on who should get priority? Now, we've received a submission from the China-Hong Kong Single Mothers Concern Group. We understand their concerns, and the Secretary has said that these cases are dealt with individually. So can you set a special sub-quota for mainland single mothers under the quota of 150? Now, the cases to be covered include deceased spouses, divorced and missing spouses, or spouses which are serving imprisonment sentences. So can the Hong Kong SAR government has a say concerning who should get priority? So 2 questions. First, whether the Hong Kong SAR government has to take in all those issued with one-way permits or two-way permits by the mainland authorities. And we have no say. We have to take in all of them. That's the first question. And then second, will you consider setting up a category under the existing OWP scheme for mainland single mothers of minor children in Hong Kong? Yes, Chairman, thank you. There are 2 questions. On the first question, of course, we have to look at Article 22(4) of the Basic Law. We also need to take into account the interpretation by the NPCSC in 1999, as well as Part 14 of Annex 1 of the Joint Declaration. That was the interpretation by the NPCSC in 1999, and since then the situation has been very clear. For people who come to Hong Kong armed with mainland documents, and if such documents are forged documents, because I only have 5 minutes. Yes, we do have document 17 in this book, but where in this document says that the SAR government must take in all of them? Now, if they have been given approval under relevant national laws and administrative regulations, then unless we have very good reasons, we cannot disallow them in. Now, as you know, the SAR government must act in an open, fair and just manner. If the Immigration Department denies entry to a certain person, then that person can seek a JR. I do not agree. Mr. Paul Chair, 4 questions. First, to follow up on Mr. Alan Leung's point, Article 22(4) doesn't really mention a figure. But I think there should be more communication. Why is it that the Hong Kong SAR will verify the case only when there is a request for assistance? And then second, why is it that we can't obtain more economic data from the mainland authorities to help us do our planning work? Because at the moment, the survey on new arrivals is conducted at the lower boundary control point, so the arrangement seems rather informal. Now, I think we should. Now, because people fill in the questionnaires on a voluntary basis, it's not a statutory survey. People do not have to be held liable even if they provide inaccurate or false information. it's true that we have one country, two systems, but I think we need to exercise our powers. We need to discharge our duties. And then second, it is said, and may I refer to para 10, it is said that people can apply for 1 year multiple exit endorsement for visiting relatives, and there we have 2 types: multiple journeys within 3 months and single journey within 3 months. So in fact, what if they leave Hong Kong and then apply again, and that will help them reunited with their families, although they still haven't got OWPs. And then, Chairman, concerning forged or fake documents, I understand that in other countries, when such cases are detected, those concerned have to be repatriated or sent back to their places of origin, and also that criminal or prosecution action will be taken. And I want to know whether in Hong Kong we've taken prosecution action against those who have come to Hong Kong illegally. I think my colleague can supplement later.
So for the mainland authorities, they would have to verify all the submitted documents. Now, there are 2 applicants. One is the relative in Hong Kong, the other is a resident in the mainland. So for the mainland authorities, they have to verify the documents submitted, and they will also ask the Hong Kong relative to go to the mainland for an interview. All these documents would have to be verified. Why does it say only when it's needed here? Well, every case has to be handled like this. So interviews will be conducted in each case. And there was one case, a lady cannot ask his husband to go to the mainland for an interview. So the mainland authorities had queries, and the wife said that, well, because her husband is in prison. So they asked us, and we've checked, and yes, the husband was indeed in prison. So for 1 year multiple exit endorsements, within the valid period of that endorsement, they can come to. They can come to Hong Kong 3 or 4 times, many times, any times they would like. There's no restrictions. And you say that's why is this not extended to spouses, because they have to wait for 4 years. But actually, it's the other way around. Now, so when they first launched the point-based system, we reached an agreement with the mainland authorities. That is, within 4 years' time. Well, in the past, actually, the waiting period was even longer. So within this 4-year period, the mainland spouse can apply for a 1 year multiple exit endorsement for visiting relatives, and for each state, they can stay for less than 90 days. And many cases are like this now in Hong Kong. Mr. Leung Kwok Hong? Well, you said that for the new arrivals, well, they may bring young people into Hong Kong, so that would be conducive to our or demographic structure. But for children, if they cannot come to Hong Kong to take care of their parents, then maybe other people will have to take care of their old parents, or the government has to do so. So for the single parents families, why can't they also be given special treatment? So why don't you do that? Why is it so bad for Hong Kong? Because now they do not have a special category. For example, if it's a divorce case, then a mother cannot come to Hong Kong. So how about the child in Hong Kong? And what's your policy objective? How do you want Hong Kong's demographic structure to be in the future? Do you want us to have more younger people, the children should be taken good care of. Secretary. As for OWPs, as to how they are granted, the mainland authorities would rely on a law to do that. That law is called Chinese citizens going to and from Hong Kong and Macau, and its management methods. So this is applicable to both Hong Kong and mainland. And under Section 7, they have listed all the relevant requirements under the law. And this were made in accordance with the mainland's policy. As for single parent, it's not under one of those situations. We understand that there are cases like this, so that's why we handle the problem on a case-by-case basis with our mainland counterparts. As I explained just now, this has been operating for some time. So more cases or applications like this have been approved. We think this is reasonable. Then why can't you tell the mainland authorities that this should be changed into a policy? Because if the cases are handled individually, then there is no legal basis. The government officials can exercise his discretion. So this should be done in accordance with the law. Then it would be the fairest. Well, their thinking may be different from ours. And most of the time they would just rely on administrative arrangements. So you have to talk to them. Well, if you tell us that you will just handle the cases on a case-by-case basis, I think that is not appropriate. Though you have been doing that, it's still far from ideal. I understand that when these people come to seek electoral members' help because we have powers and privileges, they may get what they want. I don't think all these people would come to electoral members. NGOs are also helping them. So for the cases we received, I think most of them are referred by NGOs more than electoral members. Well, we are talking about the mainland laws, and the basic law also stated very clearly about this arrangement. So I hope Mr. Leung can understand this. Yes, I understand it. Well, you should tell the NPCSC delegates. Well, we have NPCSC delegates in Hong Kong, right? Maybe our chairman is also one. Well, you should tell the mainland authorities that they should change. I think 30 delegates can move a motion. Okay, second round of questions. Other than Mr. Chan Kam Lam, who is going to ask a second round question, and Mr. Yu Siwing? Mr. Porcher, because we still have items 2 to 3 for discussion. So each member will only be given 2 minutes. Please be succinct. If you want the secretary to give you a more detailed answer, your question should be simpler. Now, I would not ask too many questions. I just need a short reply from the government. I've heard many members' questions. Well, first of all, for the statistics. Yes, I have been looking at the statistics because I and my colleagues would do studies. Well, if those people have not looked at the figures, they would be bluffed by you, but actually those figures are very coarse. I think you should really look into the details. Now, if not everyone is required to answer the questionnaires, then it may not be very representative. So that's what I mean. You really have to review the content and the details of the questions. You have to do more detailed analysis. You say that a lot of these new arrivals have received higher education in China, but you have to know that, well, some of their qualifications are not recognized in Hong Kong. I'm not trying to cause panic. You are telling us that there are statistics, but I don't think these statistics are very valid. Well, the secretary says that if we know that somebody is jumping the queue, we should report him. But you would know how the mainland authorities operate. And also under paragraph 5, you say that the Hong Kong government facilitates at case level. So Mr. Alan Leung asked a very good question. Now, are you just very passive, or you are being proactive? You will look at all the 150 cases every day. Well, this is something you can do with your present authority. For the questionnaire surveys is not done at random. We will give the questionnaire to everyone, but theoretically they can refrain from doing it. Well, many of the people will fill in the questionnaires because we would explain to them why we are collecting this information. As to whether there is a need for review, I believe that everything can be improved. As Dr. Chen, what you said just now, well, if a person claims to be a university graduate, even though that's a very famous university, that program may not necessarily be recognized in Hong Kong. So this is just an overall survey. We want to know the overall education attainment of the new arrivals. Just now we talked about people who cannot get their OWPs, and there are many reasons. Now, if the children are Hong Kong residents, then I would like to ask the government this. Would you set up a task force to provide support in this area so that these helpless parents can be helped? Well, we have to look at the needs. Now, if they ask us to reflect their views to the mainland authorities, then the Immigration Department will do that. And if they have other social welfare needs, the SWD will handle that. But if you want to put all this under a single unit, I am not sure that is as efficient as what we are doing now, because Immigration Department does not know how to do SWD's work and vice versa. So that's why we have the present approach. And if there are ways that departments can cooperate in a better manner or coordinate in a better manner, we will do that. Now, before they come to Hong Kong, because they may not know a lot of things, so maybe a unit can provide them with the relevant information or even contact persons. I hope that there can be such a mechanism. Now, when they enter Hong Kong, other than giving them a questionnaire, we would also give them brochures and pamphlets telling them where they can go to seek help. Mr. Chair? Secretary, for collecting the data, now you are conducting a survey, but that's the end of the whole application process. So why can't you do it earlier? And also, why is it a questionnaire? Do you have to follow up in terms of laws? And also, how about prosecution figures? Well, prosecution figures, maybe my colleague can give them to you. As for prosecution figures, many of these are phony marriages, and in 2013, we have successfully prosecuted 1,578 persons. And as for forged documents or other cases, for example, for parents who are mainland residents but they come to Hong Kong to give birth, then there is another figure. For the relevant authorities on the mainland, when they look at the applications or process the applications, they already have the code of practice. Now, they, for example, if it's a spouse reunion, they will have to check whether they are indeed spouses and whether they are lawfully married. As for the Hong Kong spouse, whether he or she is indeed living in Hong Kong, etc. So they will look at all these. As for our collection of data, we want to know more details about the new arrivals so that when we provide services to them in the future, these can be used as our basis. Because we are talking about a 4-year span, so if you start asking them questions 4 years before, then it will be very different from the data or information they give us upon their entering into Hong Kong.
Right, I think we've discussed this matter in sufficient detail. The Secretary has explained to us very clearly the immigration arrangements for entry of mainland residents for family reunion. I think we can now move on to the next item, installation of electric locks security system at the Tai Lam Center for Women. And I'll introduce the officials to members when they have come in. So we've got paper CB 27751314/06. And I would like to remind members that under Section 83A of the ROP, for members who have direct or indirect pecuniary interests in the matter under discussion, the members concerned can speak on the matter or move motions or amendments unless they've declared the nature of their interests. So I would like to welcome Mr. John Lee, Undersecretary for Security, Ms. Bella Mui, PAS for Security, and Mr. Lam Kwok Leung, Assistant Commissioner of Correctional Services. So can I invite Mr. Lee to take us through the paper, please? Yes, Chairman. Thank you. This is about the installation of electric lock security system at Tai Lam Center for Women. The CSD is committed to providing a secure, safe, humane, decent, and healthy environment for persons in custody. At the moment, the gates have manually operated mechanical locks. And we are proposing that we replace these manually operated mechanical locks with an electromechanical locking system operating in conjunction with the CCTV cameras, intercom, and call button. the locks can be opened by staff in the control room through remote control, and this can be done after the identity of the requesting staff has been verified. There are a number of advantages, including speeding up emergency support, strengthening institutional security, and enhancing operational efficiency. And also, there will not be a need to go through the cumbersome procedures of keeping, collecting, or returning the keys. So we need the CCTVs, the intercom, and also an uninterrupted power supply, the server, and so on and so forth. So we hope to apply for funding to the FC in May, and we hope that the system can be commissioned in May 2018. The amount of money will be required will be around $25 million. Mr. Kenneth Leung, what if there is an emergency, for example, a blackout or a fire? Can the gates or the locks be operated manually under those circumstances? That's the first question. Second, I want to know whether the ELSS is going to be installed in other institutions, or whether you're going to invite tender every time you need to upgrade the security system at a penal institution. Yes, Chairman, thank you. I want to say that if there's an emergency, the lock will remain in its position. If it's locked, then it will continue to be locked. But then, of course, we can have manual operation overriding the operation of the lock. But of course, we have a lot of backup facilities. We have a backup server, and we can resort to manual operation when necessary, and then we also got backup power supply, and we do make sure that our colleagues will undergo drills from time to time. And electric locks are installed when we have other upgrading works being carried out. Perhaps Mr. Pang can give members more details. Yes, Mr. Sunny Pang, Senior Engineer, EMSD. Thank you. So there will be uninterrupted power supply. When there is a blackout, the uninterrupted power supply will continue to supply power to the ELSS. But then if the uninterrupted power supply also breaks down, then we can fall back on the backup keys. And then concerning the opening and the closing of the gates, the locking of the gates, all these will be recorded. Mr. Yu Si-wing? It's good to use electric locks. We need to modernize our equipment and to cut down on the need for manpower. But then we understand a number of inmates will be reduced to 360. So can I ask whether you'll need less staff members for the Thailand Center in future, and where will the surplus manpower be deployed to? The use of electric locks will not mean that we can cut down on the number of staff members. Locking the gates, collecting and returning the keys, but a small part of the work of our officers. They need to patrol the cells. They need to discharge other duties. So the installation of electric locks will only serve to enhance efficiency. It doesn't mean that there will be surplus manpower, because collecting, returning keys, in fact, represent only a small part of the work of the officers. But then the number of inmates will be reduced from 464 to 360. Assistant Commissioner. Yes, Chairman. Last time we reported to the panel that the number of inmates would be reduced at Thailand Center. At that time, the average was about 460, and at that time we said that the design capacity of the center was about 360. At the moment, for Thailand Center, the number of inmates more or less remains at this level. Of course, it's important that we deploy the right people to discharge the various duties, but I don't think the number of staff members can be reduced. So in other words, the existing establishment will be maintained. Yes, that because there will be new buildings, and so we really need to reshuffle the duties of the staff a bit. Mr. James Toh. Now, this center has been in use for decades, and I, of course, have no objection to the installation of electric lock security system at a center. But is it that such a system will be installed at other centers or prisons? Thank you, Mr. Toh. Now, concerning the transfer section operating at hospitals and at courts, and also at the Lo Wu Correctional Center and also at Stanley Prison, we have these electric locks. So at the Lo Wu Correctional Institution, we hope to have electric locks at all the cells. And then Lai Chi Kok Detention Center and also Lai Keng and also Shak Pik Prison, electric locks have been installed. We have a task force to study the impact of electric locks on the daily operation of these institutions. And our thinking is that when we have redevelopment projects, when there are plans to build new buildings, then we will take the opportunity to install electric locks. And then in this case, Thailand, it takes 2 years, 4 months to complete the installation. The reason is that when you install the electric locks at cells, you have to make available, you have to make sure that there are cells available to accommodate the inmates. And so we have to do it in 10 phases. Yes, I understand. So if an officer transfers an inmate from location A to location B, then who will unlock the gate? Or is it that the unlocking is done centrally? Yes, Chairman, there is a central control room. And staff in the control room can see all the logs on the different monitors. And the staff in the control room can unlock the relevant gate by remote control. And of course, the gates or the gates can be locked by the staff in the control room. And in fact, to enhance security, the gates will be locked after they have been unlocked for some time. Yes, Chairman. In fact, over $900 million have been approved by the Finance Committee for the redevelopment of the Thailand Center. In fact, that was on the 13th of June 2012. At that time, did it occur to the administration that electric locks should be installed? Why didn't you include the amount in that application, or is it that you now don't have enough money because of price increases, and as a result you've come up with a separate paper? And I would like to know whether there have been delays in giving emergency support because there are no electric locks. So is it that we should try to install electric locks in all other prisons? And in the other prisons, are there already CCTVs and intercom of equipment?
Yes, you are correct. When we went to the FC in 2012, well, the FC was asked to approve a Thailand Center for Women renovation project, and several new buildings were erected. And for these new buildings, ELSS have already been installed. So what we are talking about now is about some other blocks, and they have not been installed with ELSS yet. Now for the new blocks, they have ELSS, but in the same institution, we hope that for the older blocks, there are also ELSS. So it's more efficient for our officers to work. So now we are reporting to you, and then we will be submitting this to the FC. This project is different from the project we brought to the FC last time. And for this ELSS, yes, it will speed up our rescues. According to our experience, and when we looked at past cases, there was not one single case in which the victim was jeopardized because of time delay. Now we place our keys in other parts, and the furthest distance is 170 meters. So we're only talking about a minute or so. So according to our past experience, we have also looked at some deadly cases in which people were dead, but the old arrangement was not the reason for the death. So I think we should end the discussion of this item here. Chairman, I have a question for the Correctional Services Department, but it has nothing to do with the electric locks. Can I ask that? No, we don't have enough time. So we have another item to discuss. So I think members would support that the ELSS be installed at the Thailand Center for Women. So if you have other questions, you can also ask at the PWSC meeting. So let's end this item. And the next item is proposal to write off a judgment debt. We have to wait for the relevant government officials to come in, and I would like to remind members, in accordance with Rule 83A, if members have conflict of interest, please declare them. The paper number is CB bracket 2775/13-14 bracket 08. We have some government officials with us. They are Mr. Johnny Kachio, Undersecretary for Security, Mrs. Millie Ng, PAS for Security, Mr. Edwin Lam, Assistant Commissioner of Police Support, and Mr. Nelson Lui, Deputy Regional Commander, New Territories South Hong Kong Police Force. Undersecretary, please. Thank you, Chairman. In 2003, a supply supervisor sergeant who is responsible for handling case property of the Hong Kong Police Force, he's stolen some case properties and cash, and then he's sentenced to imprisonment for 2 years. He was also dismissed by the government. And then the government tried to recover the debt from this particular person, and in 2007, this person was also taken to the district court. It was ruled that this person had to pay the Hong Kong government back. However, this person filed a bankruptcy in petition, and after 4 years, his bankruptcy order was discharged, and it discovered that the judgment debt cannot be recovered. As the government has extorted all means trying to recover the debt, and it still cannot be done. So now we have to write off this debt, and in total is $824,344.47. And after this happened, the police have already conducted a comprehensive internal investigation, has tried to step up supervision, and it has also beefed up its property management procedures and mechanisms. And all these will be reviewed on a regular basis. As for the existing measures at each district, the inspectorate officer will be responsible for the management of the such properties, and also we are using computer system to monitor the situation, etc. Because for the amount we are talking about, it exceeds what the Financial Secretary is delegated for. That is $500,000. So we need to obtain members' approval to write off this debt. Thank you. Members who would like to ask questions? James Toh, Yang Kai Chang, Kenneth Cheng, Paul Chair. Each of you will be given 3 minutes, but that means the meeting will overrun, so I'll use my power. The meeting will be lengthened by 15 minutes, and the meeting will end before 1 p.m. Mr. James Toh, 3 minutes. Now, in paragraph 3, it says that there is an amount of cash is more than $1.3 million. It's a huge amount. And paragraph 13 says that is his supervisor that who's responsible, the EO, he is derelict of duty. So for the supply supervisor too, that Mr. Leung, he should not be able to come into contact with the case property. So have you suspected the EO? Because the EO was handing over $1 million to the SS2. Isn't that strange? Shouldn't you conduct a more thorough investigation? Thank you. We have conducted such an investigation. Well, it was conducted by the CID, and at that time, they didn't just arrest the SS2. And after the investigation, they have looked at all the evidences, and the only person that should be held responsible was the SS2. So we have also obtained advice from the Department of Justice, and that person was prosecuted with 6 counts of stealing, and he was convicted and imprisoned. For this SS2, he conspired to defraud his supervisor, but of course his supervisor was also derelict of duty. Now the SS2 cheated the EO, telling him that he has received an instruction from the case officer saying that the property would have to be taken out, and the property was actually in the EO's safe. But of course the EO was derelict of duty because he believed what the SSE told him verbally. Yes, I would like to make it simple. This is a very important exhibit, and the exhibit would have to be sent to the court. So how would you allow an SS2 to take it out? He may claim that the case officer has told him to do so, but a police officer should be doing that. How come an SS2 is allowed to do that? It's incredible. Yes, what you say is in line with the investigation. There are two persons who are in the wrong. The SS2 cheated, and the EO was derelict of duty. So disciplinary action was already taken against him. So what happened to the EO? We have taken disciplinary action against him already. Mr. Leung Kai-chang. Chairman, I would like to ask the Undersecretary for the property office, does it exist in all the districts or is only in a region? And this happened a few years ago, and actually it's in 2003. So after that, you have stepped up your security measures. So has a similar incidents happened afterwards? Now for property office, it's in every police station. Now normally there would be an property officer and a property supervisor, and they will look at the value of the property, and if it's valuable, it will be put in a safe. And now we have different measures, so people cannot just go into the property office. And now we're also using a computer system so as to ensure that all the steps are recorded in the computer. And we can an inspector would also be able to check the computer and look at all the information that's recorded on the computer. So it's now a more efficient system. An inspector would have to check it every week, and a superintendent would random check. Also, different units are responsible for random check. For example, internal audit. And when we deploy people to handle exhibits, there is a selection process. We have to look at that officer's record, whether he's indebted, whether there's conflict of interest. And when it comes to integrity management, we have also done a lot. For example, let us listen to the announcement.
調查，繼續開會。繼續。長毛唔關你事喎，係嘛？今次關唔關你事啊？
好啊，或者保安其實已經
Okay, now the alarms turn off. I think there are some members of a guided tour that have broken the alarm case.
啊，得啦咁樣。主席啊，咁我想問一問，其實每
Chairman, well, each exhibit is different. The importance of it is also different. So how are you going to keep them? For example, if it's a cash of $3 to $4 million, you also put it in a property office. So you just place it at a different place in the office. So how do you do that? Well, yes, there are different ways of handling exhibits. Now, for valueless exhibits, they are just put in an ordinary property office. If it exceeds $1,000, they will be put in a safe. Each safe would have a limit maximum amount of exhibits. So we will be categorizing the exhibits by their values. Dr. Kenneth Chan, as for property management, you say that you have conducted a review and you have included it in the paper. Now, people have told me that, well, that's this person, he has found a cash coupon, so he handed that cash coupon to a police station. And then he didn't know what to do afterwards. He called up the police station and there's no follow-up. He suspected that, well, somebody in the police office might have stolen the cash coupon.
And so, that person told me about his concern. In fact, that was what happened a few years ago. So I think you need to instill confidence among members of the public. If the Kai Fong goes to the police station and makes an inquiry, then is it that you should try to dig up the relevant file and tell the Kai Fong what action the police have taken? Because having seen this case, the Kai Fongs may have reservations about handing over such properties to the police in the future. They are concerned that maybe someone may steal, within the police station may steal these items. Now, in fact, there are definitely there are definitely records made by the police if members of the public submit items picked up to the police, and these members of the public should receive receipts. And if that object or item is not claimed within 3 months, then according to the existing procedures, the member of the public who has submitted the item to the police will get the item or the object. And the submission and the collection of the object will be properly documented. Yes, I will give you the case number after the meeting. In fact, he has shown me the receipt. In fact, he said he asked the police many times, and every time the police did not give him a clear and direct reply. But if the police sound evasive in their replies, then of course the members of the public concerned will feel all the more suspicious. Yes, Mr. Paul Chair. After after February, and in fact he was dismissed, and or he left his post, and then shortly afterwards the police were able to recover most of the items. I have experience in helping the deal of J carry out prosecution, where I understand that the police do take care of exhibits very carefully, but I understand that from time to time exhibits are lost, and I want to know in this case whether any prosecution action has been affected. And then, of course, for this case, you have to come to FC because the amount exceeds $500,000. But I just want to know whether the police have got data or statistics with regard to the exhibits lost. Now, in this case, the SS stole the property, and his supervisor did not really discharge his duties. Disciplinary action was taken against the supervising officer. Now, you know, in fact, this supervising officer had a password to access the computer system, and the supervising officer let the SS have access to the password. So he did not supervise his staff effectively. And now we have a chief inspector, a superintendent, as well as other officers will be involved in the multi-tier supervision. And there's a supervisory function in the computer system. The supervisor can print out all the information at any time, including whether officers responsible for carrying out sample checks have really done their job. Now, because we understand that it's impossible to prevent irregularities altogether, but then we are having multiple levels of supervision. Mr. Leong Kwok Hong. For the new iPhones, people can use their fingerprints as passwords. So how come you can't use fingerprints or pupils for identification purpose? You know, you can for new iPhones you can use your fingerprint as the password. And then second, there are some cases which can go undetected. For example, there's an investigation about me and some obscene photos are involved, and people may take the photos and sell them to the magazine. So you come to apply for funding. I will approve the funding. Use fingerprints, for example, to replace the passwords. Now, yes, you can try to recover the money from the person who has stolen the money, but then what about privacy? What about people's reputation? If iPhone can do it, why can't you do it? So will you consider adopting new technology in the system? Mr. Lee. Yes, Chairman. In fact, we are also considering how we can enhance security. No, we are considering the use of the staff appointment cards. So after we've completed the study, and after we've established the feasibility, we will make use of this. But then people can pass their appointment cards to others. And of course, if you merely use passwords, then people can also tell others the passwords. But then for the fingerprints and the pupils, I think that would be much safer. For example, for confidential exhibits, for cash exceeding a certain amount, then they should be put in a more secure place. Now, of course, the police will consider existing technologies available, and we'll also look at when we have to make sure that the security measures put in place are proportionate to the actual situation. So I understand that members do support the police's proposal. But members hope that security measures can be stepped up so that we'll not see another case of this sort. Right, so we'll now come to the last item on the agenda, AOB. We don't have any AOB items, so the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.